Hi, so this vlog is going to be my vlog number 12, and it's the final vlog. This vlog is going to be pertaining to our reading in RA chapter 14, which is Understanding Occasion, as well as RPC chapter 2. I'm going to be honest, I really struggled with this chapter and with the discussion today because I feel like I just don't really fully understand what they're talking about, or I feel like I might be overthinking it. But to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to interpret the points that the author makes in chapter 12, Understanding Visual Rhetoric. The book states that images that aim to influence us are unescapable. Sculpture, picket and traffic signs, religious and political symbols, YouTube videos, smartphone apps, films, television programming, photographs, computer icons, websites, paintings, posters, print ads, architecture, dance, parades, corporate logos, billboards, and many other visual events enrich and clutter our symbolic landscape. I found it interesting how a lot of these visual images that they discuss have to do with media. I think that some of them don't, but most of them do pertain to that. So I guess that media can also be, media is media is like a subgroup of the visual rhetoric. And so it states that chapter 12's point is to examine the special characteristics and constraints of analyzing rhetorical acts that are primarily visual. So I guess what I'm taking away from this chapter is that the image is an embodiment of the persuasive message. And I think that that's the kind of concept that I'm having a hard time grasping, is how exactly an image can persuade somebody. And I'm not talking about obvious things such as like graphs or how they mention traffic signs or religious symbols and political symbols. I'm talking more about like the parades and other things such as maybe dance that I don't understand how would those convey a persuasive message. I feel like YouTube videos and smartphone apps and everything else that they listed does, but I just don't see how things such as dance and parades can be persuasive when they're interpreted by everybody differently. The chapter continues to state that 3 principles or observations about visual rhetoric anchor the critical perspective advanced here. First, visual messages are persuasive and threaten to eclipse the influence of the spoken and written word in the 21st century. So for me, I see this message or this statement, and I think that it means that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Whatever can be expressed through words is not as powerful as visual rhetoric, and that I guess visual rhetoric has the capability to do what essays are limited to. Another point that I wanted to make that I kind of discussed earlier is where the book states that images invite viewers to draw their own persuasive conclusions. They do not argue explicitly. As such, they can create association in ways that would be too audacious or laborious to say or write. I don't know what to make of that statement. I guess that this means that viewers, rather than something being limited to being written or said a certain way, the image can be conceived in a bunch of different ways. So I guess that's what they're talking about. And the book also discusses visual messages and elements of descriptive analysis. With these principles of visual rhetoric in mind, some of its special features can be introduced and analyzed, just as we would not criticize a musical score by referring only the notes from the treble clef. We cannot analyze visual rhetoric using only a few perceptual cues. So I guess the thing that I'm taking away from visual rhetoric is just its um, endless limitations and various perceptions that one can have, and also that, you know, um, visual rhetoric cannot be interpreted by just a few cues, and it has to be interpreted by the work as a whole. So that was my attempt at making sense of some of the connections from the book. Like I said, throughout the entire course, chapter 14 was the hardest for me to understand. Maybe I just didn't see enough applications and examples, or I'm just overthinking it. I'm not sure. But I answered the discussion question to the best of my ability, and I'm going to try to reread chapter 14, but I just don't see how certain points of it connect to one another. Thank you.